Good morning, fellow Ambazonians. Today, now Wednesday, number 26 day for the month of July 2023. My name na Capo Daniel, Sense Pass King, Mr. No Connie, una own countryman. Una welcome to another episode of our daily podcast, a program where they bring una the truth. It bring una meaningful information, fact-based analysis for help we as we waka for this journey to our freedom, to the independence of Ambazonia. Good people of Ambazonia at home and abroad. Today, for this special edition for our podcast, I will play a phone conversation between myself and Mark Bareta for help give una an insight into the effort where the Ambazonian People's Rights Advocative Platform is the leader for push Ambazonian struggle to secure a pathway for our independence. The primary reason why they release this audio, this conversation, will be a violation of privacy, because Mark Bareta never give me approval for release this audio, but I think say our national interest it trump our privacy concern at certain times, because we will get the promise interview where that promise interview it don't really get for that promise, and I be expect them. I don't get several promises with other Ambazonian platforms and leaders as well. I think about 6 of them, which are major ones. Those they have also relegated from those engagement, and I believe say not just the phenomenon, now also proof for which why they tell now. Say our struggle it don't become in a vegetative state. Do not expect any decision or any movement that will be progressive or that will lead to any progress from the existing movements and structure that we have. For one reason, because we are now living in our own bubble. Our partisanship, our own selfishness, wickedness have tied us in a place where this war will go like this forever and nothing will happen. You have leaders who are now more obsessed about coming out as the president or the leader of a free Ambazonian. You have everybody fighting to position themselves there above that of the common interest. The medicine we have used against the enemy is now being used against us. The strategy that we used to fight La Republic are now all being used eternally. So do not expect anything from anybody. Ambazonian activists and other actors would rather die or let this struggle be destroyed if their own support in any idea will elevate somebody else. Just like I told you people, that is where we are. And one thing I want to make what people they understand also, and I say, there is a phenomenon in political science where most country them, they usually marginalize the minorities. Or for some rich country them, they will turn their energy, their hatred towards migrants as a means for stay for power. This type of phenomenon it also be for Ambazonia. For La Republic, the marginalization of Anglophones. Now, one of those things where they put their government in a stronger position, because this government will know a post-colonial government, a successive government from the Amadou Ahidjo government where Charles de Gaulle be put up. So for them, for be harsh against Anglophones, now they are strong point. Now why that way they hawks them within the regime, they will be so flexible and so quick for run into war, because they be noticing that the only way for save the regime in life will be threatened by both factors and within Cameroon and also external factor them will be the push for democracy for inside Cameroon. So this war now the biggest victory for the Paul Biya Ibulu Beti clique. If not be the war against Ambazonia, might be Paul Biya not for day for power today. So this war, Paul Biya they enjoy for this war pass all man. I don't talk and plenty time, because it don't consolidate the power. It don't make it be impossible for anybody for get an internal rivalry or for even for the regime for be overthrown. Because so far as they see Paul Biya as the person where they keep them Ambazonia, keep them their sonera, then if the regime somehow get some legitimacy or some reason for continue way they do them. Inside Ambazonia, for the struggle also it don't evolve, where you don't get economic interest and where you don't take hold of the soldiers other than our main motive for fight for free our country. So people then the way they make money, it be of the interest now for some people then for keep the fight going for La Republic and also for Ambazonia. And our population they will suffer where they then be caught in between. Paul Biya they be flexible depend on the survivability or the succession of your own pikin. Now the only thing that will be concerned, you already be concerned about their own country. And for our own Ambazonian people, then we were only that them only be concerned about their own party them and their own presidential candidate, so to say, or our own advocates and own activism. All man be say na you want be on top more than even your own interests. It be very crucial make expose some of this internal conversation them so that the agenda for secure Ambazonian independence, we are the push them and led the international effort. Our people them come around it, because if we no come around this scenario, the worst shall happen. We shall end up as a captive people. There is no debate about that. And the only debate we have had so far are people who have no argument. The only thing they can say is that you do work for the Republic, you don't chop money. Those primitivity will not shake anything. Our commitment and motivation for this struggle is bigger than those small petty talks. You have seen Ayabacho come out to approve war crimes under normal circumstances. The talk where Ayabacho talk am, say me go key francophone them, say we no go obey international law. That one automatically, if some rational people they be for that organization, they will fire you. All other Ambazonian leaders they be supposed to wholly talk, say you need to retract your statement, because this statement now already nailed for our coffin. So I go play this interview, this conversation with Mark Bareta, for help engage our people them and for open their eye for some of the realities that we will need to be able to overcome them, and some decision that we will need to be able to take them, so that make our struggle no go for water. Hello.
Hello, Capo.
Yeah, my brother, salute.
How are you?
Oh, they fine. Yeah, I did receive your messages them and question them. I say, no, I'll call you, because there are certain things you cannot communicate through text or even audios, but you can communicate when you talk much better, because the person will feel your tune and the person will know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Even for away from the words them. So I say I'll give you a call, more talk. Yeah.
And I wish it be a bit better, because I don't listen to that video. I listen to the video as well as this thing. I want to get an understanding. Because
Yes.
a lot of politics give their own interpretation. So
Yeah, you know, this struggle, most often people they do something or they take position based on the group within they. So because I did for one group, I don't take position. I did for another group, I don't take position. Because I come out for the group, I change position. Because I hate B, I don't like B, I take this position. So those things that they make and people they even confuse self whether some position they take and about the country or about our own eternal problem they get them. Mm-hmm. So I want to assure you, say this position the way they take them has nothing to do with those our primitive tendencies. These are positions I've taken based on the participation I did in the Canadian talks, what I learned. My follow-up meeting in Europe, and I'll get another meeting again for UK for discuss with this Lord Bolton and this group of parliamentarians, the way they don't always give us an ear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I be tell you last time, within that Canadian pre-talks, certain things that be happen what I explain for you detailedly. But basically, after that pre-talks for Canada, certain options have been ruled out by the country the way they be support those initiatives. Mainly the big five countries they support those initiatives. They be support those initiatives like without precondition, without them actually coming out to say that this is an option that they support or not in terms of our communication with them. All they wanted was that both sides must sit together. It wasn't an issue again of both sides should. They had said that both sides must sit together and talk. Cameroon had no choice. We basically had no choice. It was something that we could not say no. So we went there, we had the conversation. Coming out of there, the Americans have ruled out outright independence as any option they think is attainable, as any option they think they could even support anything with an agenda of outright independence. The British have communicated the same. The French have communicated the same. Most of those international partners have communicated them the same. And I think Thibault Nagy in his communication have reflected what the Americans have in mind, which is what they are using him to do for the most part. Yeah. So right now, the sympathy we have with these countries have lost. That is why you see them, they are very upfront with us. They are very harsh. They are not trying to come like before to listen to what you have to say and go around and try to tell you whether you are right or wrong. No, they are just very, very straight and very clear. And I think that for us to be able to have their attention again, or to win back their sympathy or support for whatever we are fighting for, we will need to appear more moderate than we have appeared. We must appeal. This is actually just like a condition that they have given. We must be flexible. We cannot outrightly dismiss the cosmetic solution that Paul Biya has given, which he's just giving them because he's playing politics with them. We can't not go out being still harsh like before. If Paul Biya, who controls an army and is a state, is trying to be moderate to appeal to them, then what about us? You know, that's the question people are asking. What about us? Paul Biya have declared a special status because he wants to play politics. He wants to avert international pressure. So we should naturally expect that the international community would expect us to be flexible. Concerning the issue...
Let me just respond on this before you continue. You see, that flexibility, that type of flexibility of us maybe trying to be moderate, okay, it cannot come in the way that it is being done, or in the way that you are trying to. You are trying to portray it. That flexibility can come in a negotiated settlement where both parties sit, and then you have the Americans, the British, and so, and they will have to tell it in front of Cameroon and in front of Ambazonia People. Listen, this is our stance. This is what we as these foreign partners we can do. This is what we cannot support. The danger in us trying to go out to soften our tone, or trying to propagate a different position of what our people originally believe, is that we loses our bargaining chip. And that's because if you go for that, you know, we give at the end of the day, Cameroon has the upper arm. It's an asymmetric war. Cameroon has the money. Cameroon has the diplomatic connection. Cameroon has the finance. If Cameroon wants to reign terror, real terror in our land, you know, with war equipment, they can do it. The only thing that Cameroon has not been able to use those actual war equipment is because they don't want to actually put it outright that actually it is war. They have to make it an internal issue. That is the only reason why you see they are only doing the usual small killing, not actually using those real issue. So no matter what those people of Americans, Britain, Canada, they do, we can have those moderate positions when we sit in a negotiation and say, listen, this is the reality. This is what is this is what it is. Look at this. Why not take A to reach to a B? Why not try this and this? Then these things can be discussed and we can bring it back to our people, because the danger in us activists or leaders trying to take a different position of what our people originally know. You know, one, you put yourself against history. Two, you put yourself in danger. Three, you make people to say a lot of things that maybe are not even true. You understand? Maybe it's not even now. Even with your ages, people that is left for anyone, you say anything or do anything, people say you've chopped money. People say you've taken this. The accusation is going around the clock. So when you talk of internal self-determination, that's really what I've asked 3 questions. That's really what I want to understand. What form of internal self-determination? What is the root towards Ambazonia independence? So whether it's internal self-determination or the external one, or whether it is how do you call it? This how do you call this other form of nation? Whatever issue. The issue is, let it come through a negotiated settlement, so that our people stay clear that people are not thrown out.
The thing is that I understand what you are saying very well, and I agree with you 100%. You remember when the Swiss talks went on and Akwanga came to us, that time I was with Ayabacho, he was bringing these issues as well of moderation and all this stuff. I outright rejected it eternally and both publicly. And with the argument was the same that you have made, that you don't come and give concession out of a negotiation table. You don't do that. You weaken yourself. You cannot be going to negotiation and you are already giving away things when you have not yet reached at the negotiation table. And at that time, the Aig of C and Siseko Ayoktabi, which I believe were the 2 dominant factions, were not an active participant in the process itself, the pre-talks in Switzerland itself, because they had the pre-talks and then you also have side talks with groups that were not involved in the pre-talks. So we were involved in the Swiss talks as a side talks, not as a participant. So, but now, my brother, things are not the same like it was last year. Now we have actually have a real negotiation with La République du Cameroon during these pre-talks that has the international support. It has the backing of the 5 main countries, excluding Russia, who did not participate in those support because probably of their geopolitical thing that was going on. Otherwise, Russia would be part of those people who were supporting it. But you had the Germans, you had the Americans, you have 5 big countries that were supporting the Canadians to do this initiative. When you already have a physical negotiation in your own terms, because this was done in our terms, they choose to do it in Canada, choose to do it with the presence of the United Nations, the presence of the Norwegians and the Irish organizations that were there, or that was doing it on our own terms. We have actually have a pre-talks with legal document that is binding to Canada and Cameroon. These are not some things that are still speculation whether Cameroon participated or not. We have a legal document that is binded by one of by Canada. Canada, even if you forget about Cameroon, Canada is a very reputable country internationally. So things are not the same. These pre-talks have established intent on both sides. The international community can now have for certain that these people have met and these are their intentions. This is what they have said publicly and this is what they have said privately. Within that context of these pre-talks, as I discussed with you previously, the position that was transmitted to the pre-talks, they consider Aig of C as being the dominant player within that pre-talks. And what we communicated to them is that we do not even want this negotiation process of confidence building, of prisoner release and ceasefire. That is already an established intent, and that has transmitted to the international community that we are going in for military liberation, which is also exactly the ideology that the Aig of C is putting out in public. So it's not only what has been established on the negotiation table, it is also a position by principle that the AGOVC is pushing to our public. And these are all now things that are on the table when the international community are observing it. From how things are right now, the international community decided to support La République du Cameroon, considering us as belligerent faction. That is why they decided to even engage with the Cameroon government to uplift the sanctions that they had put there. They already had that process. I think you already saw the evidence that are going on. That is why the Americans and most of those diplomatic corps are not more vocal to call out Paul Biya for human rights violations. They are not even vocal about it. All these ramifications were given to us before these pre-talks. It is not speculation. They put us on the ground. When we went there, the Canadians, they told us point blank, including the head of the Commonwealth lady who came there in one session, they told us point blank, this is a perfect alignment of the stars. I'm quoting the Canadian minister. For once in a moment, you guys have a shot that you should not miss, because I guarantee you this thing will not happen again. It was one in a moment time. We missed that moment. Now, as it is, if we just allow things to go the way they are, like we were playing the normal games, pushing things the way we are just pushing in, we are already on a losing trajectory. It's just a matter of time. We are on a losing trajectory. We have about 5 or 7 active camps in Ambazonia right now. God forbid the head of these camps are destroyed with the head of Sokadev already out of the game. God forbid any of these 7 camps lost their fighting force or their main commanders. We are done. I mean, Cameroon will not even come again to the negotiation table. The HD that did the research work for the negotiation have given us a perfect picture that is not given just to us, but to Cameroon and the international community about what is happening on the ground. The CDN have given us a picture of what is happening on the ground. They have these things now like statistics that they can work on. So we have a choice. Either we just be going our way and doing things like nothing have happened, but things have happened. Significant things have happened. This pre-talks negotiation is significant. So this position of shifting the hardline tune is needed to assure the international community that both our conduct on the ground and our own internal conversation have changed, because Cameroon, listen now, let me finish. Listen, Cameroon internal conversation have changed. Paul Biya have accepted that this problem is real, the root causes are real internally by declaring this is dialogue and his special status. And the international community would not go again along with anything if the same thing does not happen with the side of Ambazonia. So it is needed to get any attention. Regarding the issue of eternal self-determination, eternal self-determination is a consideration. It's not a position I have taken that we should accept eternal self-determination, but it is a consideration that we must consider that we can be able to secure the independence of Ambazonia in the future in the same way that the people of Scotland and Ireland secure theirs. That means they accept autonomy to be an autonomous region, not a federal region, an autonomous region that has a constitutional amendment that identifies their territory and their right of self-determination, just like Quebec, where in their constitution they have a right to secede, and we have a right to preserve our identity, preserve our flag.
How do you describe internal self-determination?
Internal self-determination is that you like now we are fighting to safeguard our territorial integrity. We are fighting to safeguard our statehood. You have statehood in terms of national statehood. You have a sovereign statehood, which can be reflected through a people. That means when they say you're a people, it means you have a statehood in a way. Just like before we had independence, we were declared a self-governing people. That means we already have that sovereignty. We can decide ourselves as a people. But it is different from a national sovereignty, which is being acknowledged as a state with a government that is recognized internationally. internal self-determination is a process where we will secure our statehood as a people and our territorial integrity within a country like Cameroon. The Cameroon state and its constitution agrees and accepts that this territory belongs to these people. These are their boundaries. They have this right of self-determination, and they have the right of governance as a people who are as a sovereign people, even within that country. It's the same definition that the people of Quebec have. It is the same definition that the Ireland people have and the Scottish people have within the United Kingdom. Now, the self-determination is just to say that a process that would lead to that. Because if we don't show that flexibility, one, we will not even, first of all, have a chance to even have these root causes resolved. We will not have that international support anymore. That one, I am sure, both from what happened in Canada and what happened after Canada. I've been to Belgium. I've discussed with the team from the European Union, with the Belgian government. I've discussed with several state parties that are supporting this negotiation process. Both the Irish and the Norway government have had meetings with them, and all of them have transmitted the same. Nobody sees a way to even pressurize Cameroon to come to negotiation table without us having some type of a moderation. Now it's just an issue of how do we get from one point to another. Should we just be fighting and doing what we are doing? Should we change our rhetoric? Should we do anything else? I'm open to listen to what people have to say. What should we do? I've discussed with all the other factions. I've discussed with the other factions and everybody in terms of having a decision on how do we moderate.
The original decision was to call for a Canadian conference, and the conference has been stated to be in somewhere, I think in October 5th to 8th. If that would probably come up soon. 5th to 8th. So are you saying that these are the things that we're going to the conference to talk about and to make a public declaration? That would be surrounding now.
No, that will not be surrounding. I'll give you one example. It is either we lost everything, because that is where we are heading to right now. We are losing everything. It's either we lose everything or we try to salvage what we have, because we have already lost international sympathy. That one I can assure you, we have lost international sympathy.
We lost international sympathy more than 2 years ago.
You can't say that because the international community pushed La Republique to come to negotiate. That is support for Ambazonia. Definitely, because they have diplomatic control. They have diplomatic support in La Republique.
La Republique rejected that. That is, even after we set our position forward. No matter what happened.
What they rejected? What?
La Republique minister, remember, came out. After our side came out and said we are ready to meet to talk, the minister came out and said something like that has happened. They have not mandated any country, which we all know that normally is a lie, because they were in Canada. We all know that there is a signed commitment from both sides. But publicly, they came out and said and say what they said.
So, Mark Bareta, I have spoken to you as somebody who was there, as somebody who was in eternal committee there. That means I sat in meetings where it was only me, one Ambazonians, and the other people on the other side. I've spoken to you very well. You as an activist, you as a leader in your own right. Have you taken yourself to look into what happened in Canada and what happened for La Republique to withdraw?
No, I've not.
Because that is the first thing you have to do. I have come out. Listen, let me tell you. I have come out. I have spoken to our people. I have account to them. I have account to you personally, Mark Bareta. I have account to you. There are 7 different factions and 16 Ambazonians of reputations that were there that you can talk to find out what was there. I told you that the Canadians and La République, in front of me, spoke to Paul Biya when he was in America, spoke to their Minister of Defense. They transmitted a red line and they told us that this is their thinking. They think that we are looking for propaganda in that Canadian talks. We are not there to negotiate. We are there to do propaganda. We want to get the news that La République have finally come and sit down with us in Canada and sign for negotiation and then go out there to do propaganda and then continue the war. They don't even believe that we wanted ceasefire, which was something that I didn't actually believe was a position that we had. I told them we are ready for ceasefire. It is our people who are being killed. We want to get into this stuff. Their position was that if we go out there to make announcement without finalizing the document for the ceasefire and the prisoner release, they are going to pull out. They said that to the Canadians. They are going to come out to declare that nothing happened there, because the principle of that negotiation was nothing is agreed until everything is agreed. So according to those principles that we already agreed with them, they had that right to bail out if they have an opportunity to do so, and we know that they wanted to bail out in the first place.
How come the Capo gave me, I don't know. From my own understanding, I knew that the order of communication was Canada, Cameroon, Amba. Canada make a statement first. Ambazonians follow. Cameroon was supposed to make that statement, and Cameroon bailed out. Will you make a statement first?
Well, Mark Bareta, it's not about the statement. I had told you repeatedly, I have put it out publicly. We agreed on the sequence of communication based on 2 documents that were signed. That means the communication was supposed to reflect the 2 documents that we signed. One was a commitment to negotiation that designate Canadians from both sides as the facilitator and mediator. The second one was the confidence building measures that was supposed to usher in the first document. These 2 documents, before that announcement is coming, the announcement is the third part. The issue that we debated for one whole session for 2 days was that the ceasefire document, the ceasefire and the prisoner release. Cameroon said that for them, how this thing can work is that we get into ceasefire with prisoner released before the negotiation will start, or before the announcement of the negotiation. We debated that for 3 days. That was the only thing we debated. So it was the contentious issue. What was agreed was that, okay, now that Ambazonia, led by Ayabacho and somehow supported by Jomba Okoro's organization, which I represented Ayabacho, was that we don't trust Cameroon about the commitment, about the prisoner. We don't trust Cameroon about the confidence building measure. Our interest is the commitment and the first document, that means the commitment and the mandate to Canada. So we wanted this document first. Cameroon wanted the confidence building first. The argument was that, okay, we presented our own argument, they presented their own argument. The Canadians, who were the mediator, they looked for a middle ground. They said that, okay, according to them, the confidence building measure that Cameroon is pushing forward is something that should actually benefit Ambazonia. According to them, the commitment for negotiation and peace is something that Cameroon should also benefit Cameroon, because they need that for their own international transaction as well, because they had pressure. So a middle ground will be, we sign these 2 documents, keep them aside, frozen this in document. That means that we sign them, but we pretend like they have not been signed. And then now we discuss about what the Ambazonian side wanted, which was the issue of the prisoner release and the confidence building measures. We signed those 2 documents. The Canadian kept it in the fridge. We come now on how do we implement it. The Cameroon government says that for us to implement this prisoner release and confidence and ceasefire, we need to discuss with the president to give authorization, because their delegates there do not involve the military. Ceasefire in Cameroon can only be discussed by Paul Biya himself and people that he delegates, which must come from the Ministry of Defense. So Cameroon was to send 2 military people from the Ministry of Defense delegated by Paul Biya to discuss the terms of the ceasefire. Ambazonian choose 2 people to discuss the terms of the ceasefire. They said that the sequence and the release of those documents, the legalization of those documents, or those documents will come effect when we have concluded on these documents, because you cannot be making an announcement about negotiation and ceasefire when you don't even know the content of the negotiation, when is it going to start, or ceasefire when you don't even know when the ceasefire is going to start, what is going to happen in the ceasefire. That was their logic. And somehow it was agreed there that, okay, because we have run out of time, we have signed this document, these committees will meet and conclude the technical issues, then the announcement will come. That was the agreement. The technical issues will be agreed before the announcement will come. But by the time I arrived here in Hong Kong, we already had meetings, they already set up committees, and I was not included in those committees, despite the fact that I was in the committee at the former committee within the framework of the negotiations. And I was asking, those debates being played out. And Ayabacho came back to me, and all of the other leaders who were not on the floor, they came back to me because I was the one who was in the committee of communication with Cass and Anyangwe, and in the committee of defense that were in those dealing with those technical issues. And I gave them the clarity of what happened in that room. I told them that this is what we agreed. You cannot make an announcement without concluding the technical issue. Otherwise, there is an inferred intention that you don't intend to go through with the commitments that are being announced. That was what was agreed. So we could not announce anything. The sequence of announcement, whether it was Cameroon first, Ambazonia last, those things would not even come if the technical issue have not been resolved. Because the technical issues are part and parcel of those documents. The Canadians said that this is reasonable, this is rational. The guy from the United Nations there, he basically cried over the phone, Mark Bareta. He cried over the phone that what are you people arguing about? Even a child can understand this thing. That means you people don't really want this thing or what? The Norwegians, every single person that was there who is not an Ambazonian was calling and begging. On our side, I could not even discuss with the other faction because we have rules. We had house rules. Every group have their own delegations. We did not even have we begged for a chance. Right from the floor, the first day on the last session, we asked all our leaders who were designated as principals that all of us as delegates, because we all have different backgrounds, different communications, we must sit together as delegates and then our own principals. And then let every principal hear from us directly, because John Okoro have never heard from me. He has never heard from Divine. But we are in a committee that he has to take decisions that are coming from that committee, or we have to represent his positions that come from that committee. All we have from them was their own consensus without even having the content of their consensus. So our own Ambazonian leaders can gather and say that, okay, for prisoner release, we want Seseko must there for day, we want Mancho BBC must there for day, we want all these people then. Then they send it to us as delegates. We go now to fight it. If we have now La Republic, they make a counter offer. We don't have any second position to fall back to. So we were just like robot. So we're not having any flexibility. So we told them that it is needed for us to sit and discuss with the leaders so that we know their baseline, we know a fallback position. If we say that we take this position, then La Republic bring a better case, or we see that the Canadians are doing something else, they are leaning some way, then we adjust our position accordingly. We could not be flexible because we were tied by the house rules. Those issues were all, because of our own political dynamic, they were all set aside. We had a lot of political dynamics within which I think some of those things are already out there in the public. So these are the real issues that had. And it is from this interaction that people just saw us like we just wanted to fight. And it is not just an impression. I've told you that even in our own internal dynamic, the position of the AG of C was that we don't actually want, they didn't want that peace, that ceasefire. They did not even want the prisoner release for reasons that only them they believe. But according to what they were discussing, Ayabacho was saying that we are already winning. We had attacks there, here and there, and then so there was no need for us to go into a ceasefire. Prisoner release, they were saying that this prisoner release issue was not something that they were even interested in. We had our own internal fight that led to me just saying that, okay, I cannot continue with the group based on this issue. If you think that we are actually winning this war, you actually believe that Like you are reasonable. You are thinking that Ambazonia, we are fighting like this. We can negotiate here. We can mediate. Ayabacho is not like you, Mark Bareta. Ayabacho is not like you. Ayabacho actually believe that we can have military liberation. We can liberate. We can kick La Republic out of our land.
We cannot have military. That is not true.
Mark Bareta, listen to me. I have worked with Ayabacho like his deputy. We sat in a meeting on this negotiation. Ayabacho, Benedikwa, and Dr. Nyi are for military liberation. They are not interested in all these things. They are just playing games. That is why they torpedo the negotiation.
I'm saying that the truth is, we are fighting an asymmetric war. You understand? We do not have the necessary materials or resources. You know, whatever we are doing is to bring the attention of the world to now something is happening, so that a negotiated settlement could take place. Militarily, as far as I'm concerned, no side can win the war. They can win the war militarily. In fact, no side has ever won the war militarily. Even though America would have won in Afghanistan, you know, we may reach at the point where Amba is like Libya, or like Afghanistan, where what is happening now, constant killings left and right, and revenge killings, all of those things. Yeah. So military, no, but that doesn't mean that we should lay down our weapons or lay down.
We can never lay down our weapons. And let me tell you, sorry to say, Ambazonia can never be like Libya. Ambazonia can never be like Afghanistan, because we are so stupid, we are so wicked to each other. We are going to be like Myanmar, where the Rohingya Muslims, they have to take for permission to visit one quarter. For you to move from one quarter to another, you need a permission. Their children don't have right to go to school. They select families that go to school for the Rohingya Muslim. We will be worse than them. We will be worse than them, because we are so wicked. And we are dealing with the worst country in the world, La Republic. These people, you have seen what they are doing to us. If we don't secure our people by all means, Mark Bareta, we are in deep shit. Like you are saying that, this is something that you expect normal people to think. If you see me, I resigned from the Ague of Sea. I sat with Ayabacho, Benedikwa. Benedikwa, his own intention is that we should ask the international community to now give us $1 million to stabilize the ground. You are not even thinking things that are possible. Dr. Nyi is there, is that we'll even need prisoner release. You know, we'll get these guys to come out. They will be talking here and there. Manchu BBC will be saying his own, Seseko, they will be saying their own things there. They were not even interested in those things. The only reason why they were even flirting with it because I took a stand on the negotiation table. Ayabacho is going in for military victory, as mad as it may sound to you. If it was not like that, I would be working with him today. If it was not like that, I would be working with him today. Say, no, we can kick these guys out. We should fight. We are fighting to get a position to negotiate. Once you are in that negotiation table, let me tell you something, Mark Bareta. We have our case is so good and so clear that all we need is to get a platform where we can sit with La Republic and make our case. Even if we are going in for autonomy, the facts will be established so much against La Republic that I believe we can have our independence on the negotiation table, because our case is so clear. All we need is to secure that negotiation table to discuss the root causes at all costs. We secured it, and for some ridiculous reasons, we lose it. And for us, people don't even take it seriously. It defies all logic for me, you know.
Let's see what happens after the conference, you know. Let's see what happens.
The conference, just like I told you last time, we arranged this conference. It came out from the meeting, the retreat we had in Cambodia. After those retreat, I I presented this platform of having an all-Ambazonian conference where we can have everybody sit together, like I discussed with you last time, for consensual reflection of the struggle, reflecting a mandate from everybody. So you should have everybody to come and sit down. But look at what happened. How do you expect us to even have consensus when things like this will happen? You would have expected that one of these people who were in this negotiation table will come out and say, Capo Daniel, you are lying. Or Capo Daniel, you are saying the truth. We cannot even do things like that. We cannot even establish what is a fact, what is not a fact. Our people are confused. We get into serious things. You call prisoners and tell them they are coming out, and you are unable to go back, and you think that you don't even have accountability to go and tell the people this is what happened.
Yeah.
All these leaders, Mark Bareta, they have told our people to expect things. They know that something was happening in Canada. And don't you think that the people even expect to know what happened? Don't you even think that you as an activist, you have the right to know what happened to these leaders, to call even Yerima and say, Yerima, what is the truth? Why did Cameroon pull out? These allegations Capo Daniel is making, am I just making up stories, or have I become just a madman? Am I lying? Have you called Ayabacho and already asked Ayabacho, but Ayabacho, these things that Capo Daniel is saying, is he just making up stories because he's not with you? Because if what I'm saying is true, if my calculations are right, Mark Bareta, we are heading to a total loss. I mean, we are heading to a total loss if nothing is done. And in my mindset, in my calculation, based on all these interactions that have happened, that is the situation I'm fighting to rescue. That is why I believe sending out a signal to the international community, which they expect, if we actually have changed our intent away from military liberation, because that is how they perceive it.
You're moving to Belgium, you said UK and the rest. What is the end game? What do you intend to achieve? What at the end of the day, what do you intend to achieve? Because you can't do it alone. You can't do it alone. You need those who are originally in Canada and everyone to be on board.
Yeah, the thing, I cannot do it alone. That's why I have an organization, and that is why I have maintained the network of people that supports me to back up what I'm doing. I have engaged with all the other factions as a matter of principle. All of them are in the same agreement, except the AIG of C. All of them are in the same agreement, just like you, that we should use negotiation to accomplish our goal. The issue now is about how do you get to one point to the other. I don't actually believe that any of them will come out to have a position on this, because like you said, people are more worried about, they will come out and say that you don't chop money. They'll come out and say that you are a sellout. They'll come out and say all these type of things, just like you want in when we started talking. But for me, the responsibility I have in this struggle, with the amount of Ambazonian blood I have spent to send on the battlefield, people I have recruited to go and fight, my own risk I've taken to put my face in front of there, I have a responsibility to see this thing through. I don't have the luxury of saying that I'm going to sit down and watch how things will play out. I must act based on what I know, based on what I believe, to see how I can put our country back in a position where we can attract the necessary international support to get Cameroon back to the negotiation table. I believe that what I have done so far have worked. The Americans have tried to give a second ear. They have stopped. Mm-hmm. They have stopped their Secretary of Finance have stopped the engagement with the Cameroon Secretary of the Minister of how you call it. This is the Minister of Finance, who was negotiating to uplift these restrictions. The IMF have already pulled it. Yeah, the IMF has already pulled out the plug. If you saw the last loan that was given to Cameroon, they did not even go through the review process, which was put in place because they wanted the Canadian negotiation. They put those review positions as a way to control Cameroon and say that if you don't do what we want, we are not going to give you loan. We are going to ask you to stop corruption. We are going to make all those things were just a means to put Cameroon pressure. Now they gave them loan without even going through those review processes, to show you that the IMF they are already going ahead. But in terms of diplomacy, the Americans are giving us a second look. The Europeans have not yet had a direct communication with the guys in the Brits, even though the ambassador, we have had informal conversation, but they too are already a little bit looking about what are we doing? What is this guy Capo Daniel doing? How much traction do I have? Are our people paying attention? And I believe right now our people are paying attention. based on the data that are coming in and my interaction with our people. People are listening to what I'm saying. People are taking what I'm saying very, very seriously. The international community takes what I say very, very seriously. So if our people come around to start to try to talk about these things that I'm talking about, to think about what Cameroon have been saying. Publicly, we have been dismissive of everything Cameroon have done. I mean, complete those outright dismissal. They have said things, we have not addressed them. This is just coming from concerns and indicators how they perceive us according to my interactions with them. Cameroon came up with the national dialogue. We dismiss it. Everybody said that we were reasonable. They came out with the special status. We dismiss it. We say it's not even non-starter. We cannot even address it, which the international community also recognized as Cameroon accepting that there is a problem. We dismiss it. Right now, ways of how do you send signals that addresses those specific issues that have been pointed out as hardline positions that we need to even show consideration while maintaining our posture. What I have said is that I have addressed even the issue of the special status and say Cameroon have offered this special status to us. This means that Paul Biya have recognized that our territory deserves international status. Our country is not the same like the other regions in La République du Cameroun. But these solutions that he has offered do not solve the problems that we have. One, it does not secure our identity. You have two regional House of Assembly. It does not safeguard our territorial integrity in any shape or form. It is just as administrative measures. It's not even a constitutional measure, even though it has a constitutional element there, but it's just administrative. So it does not amount to anything that can resolve our problem. The conduct of what is happening on the ground is also proving the same. So I am engaging even their so-called reconciliator and all these things they have put out to show that these things that they have done does not help in any way. Yes.
Capo, you see everything that we've spoken here, okay?
Yes.
Let's have a public debate on this, okay? Let's have. I don't know if it will be on Twitter or it should be on Facebook Live.
Yes.
Okay. I should be like the interviewer at the same time an activist. Okay. We will talk about everything that happened in Canada. We will talk about these moderate views that you mentioned in the last video that I shared with you, without releasing any details about countries that you've made. You can talk generally, you know.
No, that is the point I have told our people and I've told Ayabacho.
Yeah.
This our idea that you have to keep everything sacred is not working in our favor.
Yeah.
You know, there are some times when you have an engagement with somebody and you make it public, you tie the person's hands. Why should Ambazonia be keeping secret that countries support us to go and negotiate? Why is it a secret?
Let's do I don't know if most of our people are not on Twitter, you know, like Twitter chat. Let's do you have a Facebook that is workable, right?
Yeah, I have a Facebook that is workable. We can do it on Facebook, multiple platform. I also have this. We can do it in any platform, and then after we can you can try to manage it later on. Yeah.
Yes, we can do. I have this Facebook that I'm using. This one that I took from Carl guy. That I just took his. I changed his name to my name. We can do it. Join sessions where we will talk about all of these issues in a frank. Like what the type of discussion now that we've had, you know,
yes.
in a firm manner, and probably you can inform your sources if they want to watch and they'll see that. Let's have this conversation. So if you agree, we'll have to agree on the date, the time, and also we'll have to advertise it publicly very well. maybe for a week, so that it gathers the necessary momentum towards it, so that it is good for us to have these public discussions, so that let our people they have heard it before. Yes, I know that they have heard it in your YouTube and all of that. And now let's have it like an interview from about, like not like interview, like a discussion,
Yeah.
Like a discussion. So I know I don't know where my time is only getting to 1 a.m. 1 a.m. We'll continue this discussion. I don't know what day suits you. What day do you think suits you?
Maybe around Saturday night. That should be Saturday night in Hong Kong time. Be around midnight Hong Kong time, because I know the whole world, Hong Kong is in its own league. Around midnight on Saturday should be fine.
What time? What time will that be?
It will be.
You put in a time where our people can actually be up.
Yeah, midnight in Hong Kong time will be 6 o'clock in Cameroon time.
6 o'clock in Cameroon, 6 p.m. Cameroon. That would be a good. That would be a good time. I don't know if my laptop is working on Saturday. Yeah, 6. What about yeah? Okay. Anyway, I'll get back to you. I need to check the program of my wife, that if she's at work or not. Yeah.
Okay, bro. Okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for the discussion. We will discuss again on this.
Okay, bro. Okay, later.
All right. Good night. Yeah.